Alright everyone, today's Saturday, December 19th. I'm going to make another update on this Capitol record player. So I finally received all the capacitors I've been waiting on. It took almost 3 weeks for these ones here to arrive in the mail. And I didn't even order anything from overseas. It's just the snail mail this time of year during the holiday season. I just noticed the leads on these are cut pretty short. So that's going to make them harder to work with, but hopefully I can still manage. Then I've got a vintage RCA cable because the original RCA cable on this separate external speaker for the stereo sound, the plug broke on it, so rather than splicing on another plug and making that look ugly with heat shrink tubing or something, I'm just gonna see if I can put a whole new cable on there and solder it to the other speaker. And then I've got both the styluses, because you need a separate stylus for each side of the stationary ceramic cartridge. I also received this cork platter mat. I was going to try to cut down to size to try to make it fit on here, which still might not be the easiest thing to do. Alright, back on the workbench, we got some decent lighting. And here's another look at our little amplifier. So I'm going to try to replace this cap down here, which I think is a wax filled cap. So I need to cut that out of here. And then as far as the electrolytics inside this filter can, I'm going to just cut the wires from here and then splice them into the new caps. So basically the blue, green, and red wires go to each of the different cap values in here, and then the black one is the common for the ground. So I'll need to just splice that black wire to the negative leads of all these replacement caps. Alright, I got this first wax filled cap out of here. Well, this is the only one. It's a .047. The schematic said .05, so luckily I have .047 here to replace it with. Anyway, that went from the chassis ground here, and the other lead connected to the terminal strip down here where this dog bone cap connects down there, like this lug there. So we're going to go in with this big orange drop, .047. Well, I think it's going to be a bit tough to get this in there. So to prevent shorts or any sort of arcing, I think what I'm going to try to do is to just strip off sections of my 18 gauge wire here and slip it over the leads on this cap before I actually solder it in. Well, luckily for some of these terminal strips and things, I have my handy desoldering gun, so I can try to clear solder out of some of these holes and fit the new leads in. So I've got this cap fitted in there and in here, so now I'm ready to solder it in. And we'll go from there and do the rest regarding this filter can. Now I'm going to address the filter can, so I'm just going to leave this here so it visually still looks authentic, and then keep the new caps under the hood, so to speak. So I'm going to just chop the wires here from underneath the filter can and then see if I can reroute them over here. Alright, I think I can probably make use of the red and the blue wires in here. These green ones are pretty short because they're only going from the filter can to this tube socket on different pins down there, so I may have to get creative with these two and just desolder the wires and possibly solder in 2 new wires to the sockets on here somehow. So I'll have to figure that out. Okay, I know this is pretty butt ugly, but everything's soldered in. Redid this cap. And then here's our 4 electrolytics to replace the filter can. So I know that's pretty ugly again too, but as long as this whole thing works, I'm gonna be happy. Just gonna hot glue all these together and then into the case here, hopefully like this. And we'll see if it fits with the cover. Then I have to remember to put the vacuum tubes back in here before I reassemble this entire thing, or we won't have sound. Well, here's the finished product. Rather ugly, I know, but I'm hoping it'll be good enough to get this thing up and running again. So, try to start putting this back together. I also want to see if I can try to clean this, like the Tolex and whatnot. I might try to use maybe like Mr. Clean Magic erasers or something. See if I can try to clean some of the discoloration on here. There is a little tear there in the grill cloth, which is unfortunate, but the rest of it is in really good shape. So yeah, I think this should hopefully do the job. Well, it's kind of coming together, but one other thing I needed to service was the grease and this whole mechanism here for the changer and the tone arm and whatnot, so I need to clean all this old grease out and re-lube it, like everything in here. Well, I put some of this back together off camera because it was a little frustrating and tedious, but so far so good. I've been testing it a little bit. I'm still not sure about the amplifier, of course, because I haven't replaced the styluses yet. But as far as the mechanism, it turns the platter and the tone arm seems to move. I might actually need to bring this back down, because for the reject, if the arm is up and out like that, it repeats a record on here, so might need to test this again, so let's see what happens here. Start it up. I think that's the reject, right? I think there's part of the changing mechanism on here that might make it shut off if it doesn't detect another record loaded on the changer. I don't know exactly how this works. But if I pull the arm back here, it'll bring the tone arm down onto the platter, and then maybe if I bring this back down and do the reject, it'll shut off. Sweet. So yeah, I think it just depends on whether a record is loaded or not. See, if you just shut it off, it'll turn off, and then reject, it'll go back. I just want to keep this running. Oh, actually I didn't even show the speeds on here. I was testing this earlier too. So that's 78, 45, 33, 16. There's 78. Seems to have a decent amount of torque. So hopefully it'll be alright. Has a hard time getting back up to speed from 16 to 33 though. It's easier if I start at 78 and then bring it down. Somehow I need to get this centered and then cut this other diameter out there for this black part. So the diameter of this is somewhere around 2 3/8. Although the edge of this kind of tucks up under there, so maybe cut it slightly smaller. But yeah, I need to measure this properly to center it and stuff. I have a circle template I could maybe just put around here and try to center it the best I can. Actually, as it turns out, 2 1/4 is the biggest size on this thing, so it's probably where I'll have to start. Well, I really don't know whether this is perfect, but hopefully I can make it work. And then, since it overhangs as much as it does, if it is even slightly off center, hopefully when I trim this down to the diameter of the platter itself, I can have it all concentric again. There is a bit of a groove inside there for this to fit, so I knew it had to be smaller than the diameter of this black disc in there. So anyway, I've taken this off the turntable obviously, so I'm just gonna fit this back on here. Well, maybe apply glue first actually. Alright, so I need to do this off camera. Obviously it's gonna require 2 hands. So here's my glue stick. Again, I'm just gonna try to use this for now because you need everything to be nice and flush. Probably wouldn't hurt to also clean the surface here, so I'll do that off camera too. Alright, the glue's on there, and I'm gonna just apply pressure to this. And then I'm thinking I can just take my X-Acto and trim around the outside of this. It's hard to tell if it's perfectly centered or off, but when I trim this it shouldn't matter, I don't think. I doubt you'd find any other platter mat replacement for this kind of size too easily, and this cork is pretty easy to cut, so I felt like it would be the easiest thing to work with. So I tried to just trim this. What I did was I held the knife steady and then I just spun this with my other hand to try to get a steady cut on this. So I'll just peel this up here, and there's our excess, and then try to see what this looks like here. Not too bad. Pretty happy with that. So yeah, that worked pretty well. Pretty happy. Alright, I put more rubber renew on there. Seems like the rubber's still soft and has, you know, good friction and torque to provide, so I don't know if it's gonna get much better than that. Check it out. Alright, now I need to put the C-clip back on. And I think we're about ready to go and change the styluses on here. Alright, now for this guy. Gotta take this apart with the 4 screws in there. So here, and then on top, there and there. They sure didn't drill some of these holes very straight. The screws are coming out all cockeyed. Alright, screws are out, so it's kind of interesting how this lifts open. This isn't exactly wood. I don't think. It's kind of like a thick cardboard almost. Anyway, there's our elliptical speaker. And we just gotta tie a knot or something because there's no grommet restraint thing. Alright, that's desoldered. I'm not sure how to tell the polarity or if that matters on this old of a speaker. I don't see any markings on it, so I'm not sure. Alright, I just got my multimeter out and tested these two terminals, and they're both connected together, so I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot. That's always possible. But anyway, we'll get it soldered up and then try to test it here. Alright, I think I feel vibrations from this. I'd say it works. So I'm glad this cable worked out. Kind of keeps the original aesthetic since this is a vintage cable, even though it's not the original. Well, I at least ran the glue stick along the edge of this, so hopefully after it dries it'll be alright. Also, when I was taking this apart, the screws were tough to get out, so a trick I have for that is to just dip them in some petroleum jelly and it kind of coats the threads so they go back in more easily. And don't do what I did and drop the whole screw in there by mistake, because then you're digging it out with your fingers like I just did and it was gross. That looks nice. So now I want to just flip this over and try to see if I can clean up the Tolex and if it'll be able to look any less yellow. This may just be a bit faded from UV light hitting it over the years. I don't know that it's actually dirt. Alright, so now on to one of the more difficult parts of this restoration process is trying to replace both needles on here. So, gotta pay attention to which is the 78 in the LP. It's nice that this sort of stays up on its own. So they're different sizes. I think one is 0.3 mil and the other is 0.7. Oh, that says 78 RPM. This one says 1633.45. So that's the LP side is 7 mil. So then I need a small flat bladed screwdriver. This one should fit. And I've got a pair of tweezers to maybe try to do this. And then these needles have a little fork on the end, so I can probably just slightly loosen the screw and then replace it without having to completely loosen the screw and worry about losing it. Then it's also important to install this the right way around, because obviously the diamond is only on one side. So that part where it tilts upward goes toward the ceramic cartridge itself. And interestingly, this is made in England, or at least the cartridge is. So some of the old Magnavoxes are made in England, or at least the turntable mechanisms. And then this is taped in here, so probably just need to use tweezers to do some of this. Well guys, I don't seem to have audio out of this, or at least not much. It's pretty weak, and I only get audio out of this speaker. I don't get anything out of that when it's plugged in. So I'm thinking it might either be the vacuum tubes themselves are weak, or something's wrong with the amplifier I messed up. Not sure. But here's a demo. Hopefully this isn't copyrighted. Got this cranked all the way up and there's hardly any audio on here. Should be louder than that. And then I'm not sure how these volume knobs are supposed to work, because I turn up B and it affects this front speaker, and then I turn up A and it also affects it, but A's louder a little bit. I mean, it works with the volume knob here, but I don't get anything out of this. And then I think this speaker here just has a hum still. And I don't know, it's not all that loud, it's pretty weak. So I went on eBay and just tried to order a set of tubes for this. They're mostly like new old stock or vintage tubes that are tested. I don't know if you can find these 50EH5s that are brand new or anything. So I have a feeling the tubes might be weak. And if I turn the lights off, you can see them glowing in there. Not that that really means much of anything, but maybe the gases or whatever just leaked out of the tubes and they're barely working. I don't know. Because otherwise I may have screwed up something with the amplifier or the other components besides those caps I replaced could be bad. I mean, who knows? Resistors that drifted in value or something like that too. You never know. Let's see if it turns itself off. Oh, that's all good. So yeah, it's still a work in progress. Sorry for the disappointment, but it's going to take a bit more work. Also, there was a wire on the tone arm that broke. The center pin on there where this black wire is. Resoldered it back on. But it didn't make any difference to the sound before or after I fixed that, so I don't know. That's weird. Alright, today's Tuesday, December 30th, and I've got 2 replacement vacuum tubes to try to put in here. I got from eBay. Supposedly they tested good on a Hickok TV7, so I'm going to try to pop those in here and see if it improves anything or makes any kind of difference. So I pulled out these original tubes again. They're RCA brand. Just taking a closer look at these. The getter on here looks pretty black on this one. And the RCA writing looks slightly discolored on one of these tubes compared to the other. Which is maybe hard to tell on camera, but this looks a bit more off-white and almost brown, whereas the one on the left is a brighter white. The getter doesn't look bad on this one necessarily, but this one looks pretty black. So I'm not sure if both of those are necessarily bad or one of them's bad. I just feel like it's possible that one of these could have leaked and is causing problems with the weak audio from only one channel and hum in the other channel. So try to pop the replacement ones in here. I just got, these aren't even the original boxes. That says Sylvania, this one says Magnavox. So I'm pretty sure these are obsolete tubes. You can't really get new anymore. And here's the second tube. This one's actually a GE. It says 50EH5. This doesn't appear to have a getter on the side, so maybe it's just in the top. I don't even know. Alright, I've got it plugged in and try to test this out and see what happens here. I picked one of the old 78s. Hopefully it doesn't have any copyright issues existing, but who knows. So I'll just try to plug this other speaker in here. And then I guess just crank it up on here because I'm not sure what's going to happen. I've got it set to 78. And then I'm just going to test this out before I pop this other panel back in. So here goes nothing. Moment of truth. I wonder if it'll even have enough time to warm up. far so good. It's still weird though because both of these volume knobs seem to be affecting the front firing speaker in here. I don't know why. I still don't know if there's anything coming out of this speaker, so I may have to take this apart again at some point. But that's definitely better than it was. Yeah, I still only hear a hum out of this speaker. Not sure if you can pick that up. It's just a hum out of here. There's the other tubes in there. I'm also not sure if it makes any difference if the 78 is even stereo or mono. That I don't know either. But it's pretty cool that I got this working more than before anyway. So these are better tubes than what came out of this. So it's fun to listen to this old music on the 78s.
When a fella meets a girl in Switzerland, there's a certain thing he's gotta do. He can never take her by the hand till he learns to doody-doody-doo. When a Swiss boy comes calling.
I don't know, I'm a little concerned that might have copyright. I have no idea though. But yeah, I've got a whole bunch of these books just filled with old 78s from my grandparents' house. So this is all pretty old stuff. It'll be fun to listen to anyway. Alright, I found an old LP. It's a polka one. Hopefully it doesn't have existing copyright on it. Try to test this out and see what happens. If I get any kind of stereo sound. I still think it's only this front speaker. So you still gotta hum through that one. I don't know, I feel like I don't know, something might even be messed up with the wiring, because I feel like one of these volumes should be for one speaker and the other should be for the other. I don't know. Because I roll this volume B up, it's just pretty weak again. And then I roll volume A up. And the B one doesn't really do anything, so I don't know, I may need to check the schematic or something. The 78 almost sounded better than this. seem quite right. Try to let this get to the end here. Hope nothing's damaged in here. Oh, the cable came out. I must have unplugged it. Still don't think there's anything but a hum. Can hear it. And this kind of... that was weird. I kind of hesitated for a second when it got to the end and was trying to return the arm. Alright guys, I'm going to end the video here before I bore you people any more than I already have. So I kind of feel like those replacement tubes may have helped the audio get to be a bit stronger to some degree. I may as well just try to review the footage and see if I have a better idea if it made any difference at all. But yeah, there's really not too much more I can do at this point until I tear this thing down completely again. Unfortunately. So at least the schematic is beneath this entire platter, so I can try to trace through some of that and maybe test with my multimeter and try to debug to the best of my ability, even though I'm by no means an expert at this. So anyway, I don't really have much more to say. I'm just going to end it here, and I hope everyone enjoyed the video who's watched so far on this whole repair series, and stay tuned for more updates on this, and we'll see if I can't get this 100% revived and up and running again. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.